Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we discuss the future of Dante, Chapter Master of the Blood Angels. Just what is going to be his next move. No real need for a spoiler warning today, but just keep in mind I will be mentioning events from across the Warhammer 40k universe. So with that out the way, let's waste no time and just jump straight in. Okay, so last time out we discussed the journey that has led Dante to his current situation. Going through the devastation of Baal, his appointment as Warden of Imperium Nihilus in the aftermath, his rebuilding of the chapter and the fellow sons of Sanguinius, elevating Baal to become a capital for Imperium Nihilus, crossing the Rubicon to become Primaris, finding the returned Lion L. Johnson, uniting him with his chapter, and facing the demon Primarch Angron. So Dante's certainly had an eventful time of late, to say the least, facing trial after trial. But what does it mean for his future? Where will we see him focus now? What's going to be his next big move? If he even makes one. Well, to begin, if his brief appearance in The Lion Son of the Forest was anything to go by, he is undoubtedly reinvigorated by his elevation to Primaris, even if only physically. His hair is now back to jet black, with only a few streaks of silver, and the skin of his face more youthful and tight. And it may not seem like much, but this is a major thing for Dante, who has been combating the sheer exhaustion within him for centuries now, being far older than any Space Marine was ever meant to be, let alone having bared the mantle of Chapter Master for over 1,000 years of that time to boot. And so Dante will surely be launching into the enemy with a fury he hasn't possessed in centuries. That said, however, it does remain to be seen just what kind of effect becoming Primaris has had on him. Something we'll only really get to see and discover within a novel. Though it's a narrative that has kind of faded away somewhat now. Previously, there was a bit of a change within some Firstborn crossing the Rubicon, in certain circumstances. Highlighted particularly well when Uriel Ventris had undergone the procedure, within the novel The Swords of Calth. It's a bit of a narrative that's been given over to the Age of Sigmar now and the Stormcast Eternals, but I am curious what or if the effect could be for Dante. Maybe not so much in the sense of a personality change, but just more if his centuries of weariness within can truly be reversed. No, Dante would never submit, never give in. He would always continue to give everything he can for the Emperor. But this is the same man who pleaded with Sanguinius to die. And so I'm very curious to know if that inner mental state, his soul even, can truly be changed. And maybe those strands of silver in his hair still are a clue. Maybe, like we've seen with the Primaris still being affected by the flaw, Dante's age will begin to creep back in, over little hints and teases. A few more strands of grey being noticed, a wound not healing quite the way as it should. It's a definite aspect of his story that I don't think we're done with quite yet. I don't think Dante crossing the Rubicon is a miracle cure. the cure he hoped it would be. He isn't immortal, and I think those signs will slowly begin to return. However, what of the more practical, the actions Dante could take? Well, despite Lionel Johnson's return, Dante is still the man charged with Imperium Nihilus's defense. He still has a war to fight, an empire to protect, and I think we will begin to see him taking more of a front foot in that regard. It often gets forgotten just how much of a nightmare situation Imperium Nihilus is. Communication is haphazard at best, completely unreliable. Warp travel even worse, without the Emperor's Astronomicon to guide them, meaning not only are systems everywhere left alone and isolated, but they aren't even able to call for help, and ships are left with the barest dips into the Imperium, journeying not only blind, but travel taking vastly longer. And that's even if they survive, with the jumps into the warp being far more dangerous than they ever have been previously. And it's through all this that Dante has been attempting to build a force capable of taking the fight back to the enemy, commandeering vessels from refugees for the most part, and giving away freshly created cruisers to successor chapters, because he doesn't have enough men to man them. It is nothing short of a real uphill battle for him. Beyond uphill, we're talking Everest here really. But there are some advantages in Dante's favour. The Sanguinius is able to guide his fleets through the warp, and his position of Warden enables him to acquire those resources he needs. It has seen forces flocking to Baal to join him when word is able to reach out to their systems. And so I think we'll see definite movement here. Dante finally able to take the front foot. We know despite the victory at Baal, the Tyranids have still remained an issue. And I think with the more recent emergence of the true might of Leviathan, word of that would surely have reached Dante. And so he could move against the remaining Tyranids, still threatening Baal in force, to eliminate this threat once and for all. While he still can, prevent it from regaining its unstoppable might. And although Lionel Johnson appears to be still within Imperium Nihilus, at least you'd assume until we have that reunion with Roboute, I don't think we'll see much interaction with Dante and the Blood Angels going forward. I think that purpose was served for L. Johnson's return. And so for me, with Dante dealing with the Tyranids quickly, with L. Johnson and the Unforgiven moving on to their own secretive objectives, I think that leaves two main narrative possibilities for Dante's future. The Abaddon Vashtor search for the Vault, or Guilliman's crusade across the Rift. Anything with Abaddon teases the possibility of an interaction with Dante, simply because the prophecy of the Scrolls of Sanguinius, feeling like it's their destiny to meet in this climactic encounter. And you can never rule it out. If Dante was ever going to stand a chance of victory against Abaddon, it would be now, fresh into becoming Primaris. But I don't think an interaction or encounter between the two is likely at this time. I think the Vashtor Abaddon narrative is moving in a different direction, and so I think it makes far more sense for Dante to become involved in Guilliman's crusade into Imperium Nihilus. We know, thanks to Belisarius Call's latest novel, Genefather, Roboute Guilliman was on the cusp of launching his assault across the Rift. In fact, telling Call he was on the very eve of it in his message. And so it makes all the sense in the world to me that one of Guilliman's main objectives would be clearing a safe route to the Blood Angels' homeworld. The moment the crossing had been launched, you would expect communication to be attempted with Dante, a message relaying Guilliman's intent. And if so, surely Dante would do what he could from his end, finally unleashing the battle fleet he has been struggling to assemble, launching his own crusade to cleanse a path towards Guilliman's crossing, to unite with the next stage of Indomitus. And it wouldn't be an easy thing. In fact, given Baal's location, it would be a monumental undertaking. A crusade I'm not even sure Dante would be capable of launching, in terms of supplies and manpower, with all the dangers already everywhere else, being really surrounded by the enemy. But surely he'd have to try. He is the Regent, the Warden of Imperium Nihilus. Its protection, its safety, is his responsibility, welcomed or not. And so surely he would have to play a major part in the next stage of the Indomitus Crusade. The fight back against the ruinous powers within the Dark Imperium, showing them that the Imperium still lives, that the galaxy belongs to the Emperor, and that the Sons of Sanguinius continue to lead that fight. And so, for me, if I had to make my best guess, I would land on that being Dante's next major move, finally unleashing the fleet he has managed to assemble to play his part in Guilliman's assault. We know there's a multitude of things Guilliman will have to focus on, none more important than creating a second assault path on Vigilus and the Nachmund Gauntlet from the rear, finally freeing that stable crossing from the assault of Abaddon's forces. And so a large part of Guilliman's fleet will surely head in that direction. But again, at least one fleet will definitely be tasked with heading for Dante, and I expect him to answer in kind, to do what he can to give the counter-attacking forces of chaos another threat to worry about. The question is, will he be able to, as pressed for resources as he is, as beset by calls for aid and dangers all around? As always everyone, what do you think? Will Dante look to deal with the Tyranids quickly, and after that, will he be involved with Guilliman's crusade across the rift? Would you expect Guilliman to task a fleet to head for the Blood Angels' home? And will Dante attempt to do his part from the other end? Will we see Dante finally unleash his power as Warden? Or do you think he'll still be too embattled to assist Guilliman's forces? That he'll feel the pressure to act, but perhaps be unable to? Or do you think we could see Dante move in a different direction? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.